You're sitting at your desk. Your session went fine. Not great, not bad. A clean entry, a small win. Exactly the kind of day your strategy is built to produce a lot of. And then you open your phone. Someone posts a screenshot. 5 figures, 1 trade. A green P&L that looks like it came from a different universe than the one you're trading in. And something shifts. The fine session you just had doesn't feel fine anymore. It feels small, slow, almost embarrassing by comparison. So you do something you weren't planning to do. You go back to the charts. You look for one more setup. Not because your strategy is telling you there's one there, but because you suddenly feel behind. Like you need to catch up to a version of trading you just saw on a screen that has nothing to do with your account, your strategy, or your day. This is one of the most common and least discussed ways that good trading days turn into bad ones. Not because the market changed, because someone else's result got into your head and changed how you were measuring your own. Today we're going into why watching other traders' results is quietly one of the most expensive habits a trader can have, what it actually does to your decision-making, what's missing from every screenshot you've ever seen, and the shift in focus that gets your trading back to being about you. Social comparison isn't unique to trading. People compare careers, relationships, bodies, houses. It's a deeply ingrained human tendency that long predates social media. But trading comparison has a specific quality that makes it more distorting than most other kinds, and it's worth understanding exactly why. In almost every other domain, the comparison at least includes some visible context. You can see a colleague's career and have some sense of the years, the setbacks, the work that got them there, even if it's incomplete. A trading result, especially the kind shared on social media, includes none of that. You see one outcome, a single number, isolated from the account size it represents, the risk that was taken to produce it, the losing trades that came before it, the strategy behind it, and the months or years of development that made it possible. It is, by design or by accident, the most decontextualized form of comparison available. A single data point presented as if it were the whole picture. And because trading results are quantifiable in a way that most life comparisons aren't, a literal dollar figure displayed in green, impossible to misread, the comparison feels more objective than it actually is. A number that big looks like undeniable proof of skill. It rarely is. It might be an account size 40 times larger than yours. It might be a single outlier trade that the person has had once in 2 years. It might be leveraged risk that would have wiped out the account on the other side of that same trade. None of that is visible. Only the number is. Here's the part that matters most, and it's the part most traders never stop to examine. Trading isn't actually a competition between you and other traders. It only feels like one because results are public and quantifiable. But structurally, your trading account has no relationship whatsoever to anyone else's. Their win doesn't subtract from your opportunity. Their account size doesn't cap yours. Their strategy succeeding has zero bearing on whether yours will. The only real competition in trading is between you and your own consistency. You against the version of yourself that followed the plan yesterday and the version that's tempted to abandon it today. You against your own discipline, your own patience, your own willingness to take the trades your strategy actually offers instead of the ones that would make a better screenshot. That's the entire competition. Everyone else is just trading in the same market. Not against you, not in front of you, not in any way that has bearing on your results. When you compare your results to someone else's, you're not actually gathering useful information. You're importing a standard that has nothing to do with your strategy, your account size, your risk tolerance, or your stage of development, and measuring yourself against it as if it were relevant. It isn't. The trader who posted that screenshot might be 3 years ahead of you, trading an account 10 times larger, having survived blown accounts you haven't even encountered yet. Or they might be one lucky trade away from giving it all back. You don't know. The screenshot doesn't tell you. And building any part of your self-assessment on information that's incomplete is building on nothing. Now let's get specific about what this habit cost, because it shows up in trading decisions in ways that are easy to miss until you know what to look for. The most direct cost is forced trades. We opened with this scenario, and it's one of the most common ways comparison damages a session. A trader has a perfectly fine day, on plan, within criteria, exactly the kind of session that builds a track record over time. Then, a comparison trigger appears, and the fine day suddenly feels insufficient. The response is to manufacture another trade. Not because the strategy is offering one, but because the trader feels behind a standard that was never theirs to meet in the first place. That trade is by definition not coming from the strategy. It's coming from the comparison. And trades that come from comparison carry all the same risk characteristics as trades that come from revenge or boredom. They bypass the criteria entirely. The second cost is position sizing distortion. After seeing a large result from someone else, the temptation to size up, to try to close the gap faster, to make the next trade count more, is a direct and measurable response to comparison pressure. The position size stops reflecting the trader's actual risk plan and starts reflecting an emotional need to produce a number that would also look impressive. That's not risk management. That's performance for an audience that, in most cases, isn't even watching. The third cost is the erosion of satisfaction with genuinely good trading. A trader who is consistently comparing their results to outlier screenshots will struggle to feel good about a strategy that is, by design, working exactly as intended. Steady, modest, compounding gains, the actual signature of a sound trading approach, start to feel inadequate next to a single dramatic win that represents none of those qualities. And a trader who can't feel satisfied by their own sound process is a trader who is far more vulnerable to abandoning that process the moment it produces a quiet stretch. The fourth cost is the most subtle, and probably the most damaging over time. Comparison teaches a trader to value the outcome over the process, because the outcome is the only part visible in someone else's result. The screenshot shows the win. It never shows the entry criteria, the risk management, the months of development. A trader who is absorbing dozens of these decontextualized outcomes regularly is, slowly and without realizing it, being trained to care more about results than about the process that's supposed to produce them sustainably. None of this means other traders' content has no value. The distinction is what kind of content it is. And it's a distinction worth being deliberate about. Content that teaches is valuable. A trader walking through their actual entry criteria, their risk management process, their post-trade analysis, including the losses, including the mistakes, including the reasoning behind decisions, that's education. It gives you something to evaluate, learn from, and potentially incorporate into your own process. The outcome is almost beside the point. What matters is the thinking that produced it. Content that is just outcome, a screenshot, a number, a result with no process attached, is not education. It's not even really information. It's a highlight, stripped of everything that would make it useful, and in most cases, stripped of everything that would make it honest. There's no entry criteria to evaluate, no risk taken to assess, no losing trades for context. Just the one number that's designed to generate a reaction. The simplest filter. Does this content teach me something I can apply, or does it just show me something I'm meant to feel something about? If it's the first, it's worth your attention. If it's the second, if the only thing being communicated is the size of the win, it has no functional value to your trading. It exists to produce exactly the reaction we covered earlier, the feeling of being behind, measured against a standard with no context behind it. If comparison is going to cost as much as it does, the fix isn't simply willpower. For most traders, that's not realistic, and it's not really necessary either. The fix is building a relationship with your own results that's strong enough that someone else's screenshot doesn't have the power to disrupt it. The first piece is a defined personal benchmark, reviewed regularly, that has nothing to do with anyone else. Your own win rate, your own average risk-reward, your own consistency across the last 20, 50, 100 trades. When you know these numbers, genuinely know them, not just have a rough sense, a single outlier screenshot from someone else has almost nothing to grab onto. You're not measuring yourself against a vague feeling of falling behind. You're measuring yourself against your own data, which is the only data that's actually relevant to your account. The second is treating every comparison trigger as information about your own state, rather than information about your trading. If a screenshot makes you want to force a trade, that reaction is telling you something about where your psychology is right now, not something useful about the market. Notice it. Name it. Let it pass without acting on it. The urge to compare is not a market signal. It never was. The third is curating what you actually see. You don't owe your attention to every account that posts outcome-only content. If a particular source consistently produces the comparison spiral we've been describing, the most direct fix is simply removing it from your feed. This isn't about avoiding reality or refusing to acknowledge that other traders exist. It's about protecting the only trading account that actually matters, and protecting from information that has no functional value to it. You against yourself, your plan against yesterday's version of your plan, your discipline against yesterday's discipline. That's the whole competition, and it's the only one that was yours to win. We all have our own path in this. Different starting points, different account sizes, different strategies, different amounts of time already put in that nobody else can see. Someone else's win has nothing to do with you. Not because their success doesn't matter, but because it was never measuring anything about your trading in the first place. The next time a result crosses your feed and something in you tightens, that small, sharp feeling of being behind, remember what you're actually looking at. One number, no context. No account size, no risk taken, no losing trades that came before it, no years of work behind it. It was never the full picture, and it was never something you needed to measure yourself against. Your trading is a conversation between you and your own plan. Keep it that way. The only trader whose results should be shaping your next decision is the one sitting at your desk.